Episode 22, Social Pariah.
I still can't believe you moved in.
I mean, rent free, and it's not like I'm in school anymore.
The fair, I suppose. Though when I offered, I was really just being polite. I didn't think you'd agree.
Not like I had many other options.
So you've been saying, though I'm not really sure what that means.
So you said, and I told you I'd give it as a saga, so here we are.
Alright, first things first. Greetings and welcome, Dark Wanderers and not. My name is Jessi
And Skye.
and Skye Burton. So sit back, put your feet up, and listen to today's tale direct from source. I cannot believe you've made me wait all week for this, Miss Burton. You're lucky I'm patient.
And you're lucky I answered your lonely ass.
Right. A large mistake on my part, clearly. Dear listeners, as it would happen, Miss Burton reached out last week, claiming a new saga and a need for housing.
Why are you always such a grouch? Ugh. Anyways, dear listeners, after my saga last time, more has happened, so I figured why not tell it, because Jessi here was such a help last time.
I never claimed to be able to help, only that I can find and read these sagas and share them. It's what has always been my aim here, to help with people like us who... What's that alarm for?
Nothing.
Hey, hold on. We started a couple minutes early. You have an alarm for my show.
Fine, yes. It's not for you, freak. It helps.
Helps.
Yeah, it's nice to know I'm not alone sometimes, okay? That there's others out there.
Yeah, that's why I started this show. Sorry.
It's fine. I know this life of ours, there isn't really a clear path to follow. No directions on the things from the Black Lagoon or the things that go bump in the night.
That's an understatement. The more sagas I read, the less I understand, it feels like.
Sounds like a you problem.
Yes, of course. Do you want to tell your tale, or...
Finally. So, when I left here last time, I took a little bit before I went back to school. Being here, telling the story, it all made it seem, I guess, real, you know? Like, obviously I knew it was real, but talking about it just brought it all home. I wanted to get away from it all, so I booked a bus home. Always thought that was just an American thing, but no. Apparently Canada has them too. Had to swap to a train, then another bus, and the whole thing took 3 days. But I got home. Hadn't told my parents I was coming, even though I was heading there. I wasn't really sure I wanted to go, you know?
Weirdly, yes. Know that feeling very well. My foster mom, she used to get so mad at me whenever I'd hop in a bus or on a cab headed to my old house. I always stopped before I got there, though.
I listened to that episode. Can't imagine what that was like as a kid.
Lots of therapy. Lots.
Probably. You seem like the type to go.
Thank you?
Anyways, when I got there, I just sat at the park across the street for a while. Couple of hours, I think? Time is still a little weird. I was just sitting there, running all the events through my mind, all the points where I could have stopped or tried to. When I could have tried to reason with Sabby, told her this was all crazy. When I could have just walked away. So many opportunities. Finally, I knocked on the door. I don't know why. I had keys. I could have just walked in. Wouldn't have been the first time. Hell, even Sabby used to just walk in before. But for some reason, I knocked. The sound was hollow. Not like the door was hollow. No, it was more like the house was empty. Of course it wasn't. I could see the usual front end table where we kept the key bowl and mail, even the hall mirror, all from the front window. But the sound my knocks made?
Like the sound, it just continued on for far longer than it should have.
Yeah, actually. Anyway, the sound eventually faded, and the moment it did, the door opened. Like it was waiting for it. For there to be silence. Looking back, I knew something was off. Different. The dog should have been barking. My mother should have been yelling at them to shut up. My dad should have opened the door. These were all the normal things. But even with all of that missing, the moment the door opened, I felt relief. I was home, my childhood home, where I'd grown up, where my room was still how I left it,
Where you were safest.
where I was safest. Crossing that threshold, there was a shiver. Honestly, more than anything, that shiver should have sent me running. I know that shiver. You know that shiver. We all do.
Never in the moment. One thing I've learned from all these sagas, all these tales, it's hindsight. It's 2020.
Indeed. That shiver up and down my spine, I ignored it. I was home. I called out for my parents, their dogs, anyone. There was no answer. No lights on either, which was a little odd, and the first thing that actually stood out to me. My dad got cataracts a few years ago, as well as some other eye stuff that made him need lights on pretty much 24/7. I remember thinking, oh, maybe they're just out. Foolish, obviously. There's no such thing as a normal answer, no happy coincidences. I called out again, my own voice echoing back at me. I knew something was up. I knew it. I could feel it. Like it was in the air. Then there was a small bark and everything seemed okay. I was just being paranoid. Of course my home was still safe. Buster, my mom's 9-year-old little pug, came waddling down the stairs and immediately I was suspicious again. Buster was only 9, but he had some hip issues and practically dragged himself most days. Now he was happily trotting along. Well, not exactly.
Not exactly?
Yeah. He moved less how a dog should, all 4 legs going, almost hopping along, and instead it was almost like he was gliding. I looked away for a second. I still don't know why. Maybe part of me knew what was about to happen, what I was about to see. Sure enough, out of the corner of my eye, one of those squid-faced alien-looking things, just small and kind of hunched over.
They were all like that, weren't they?
Both dogs. And once they'd come down the stairs, they were my parents. I knew, even without looking at them, they weren't my parents. Their voices, they were cold, distant, like they were speaking while spacing out, kind of trailing off but still talking. They told me things my parents never had. They were proud of me. You believe that? Proud of me. My parents, they weren't cruel, but they were never really the type to be overly loving. They thought that words were meaningless, so they didn't bother speaking more than necessary. They still hugged me, of course, but those things that replaced them, they told me they were proud. That they loved me and that I should stay with them, be a family with them. Worst thing was, I wanted it. The pretend. The hope, I knew it was all fake, of course. How could it not be? Looking at them from beneath my eyelashes, their true disgusting forms were obvious. But still, they sounded so sincere. Or maybe I just wanted them to.
So then what? What did you do?
I ran. What else was there to do? No matter how much I wanted to stay, they weren't my family. They'd taken my family, my home, my safety. I was crying. I don't know when I started. I don't know how long I ran for. It was long dark by the time I stopped, not even sure where I was. Some secluded area with a small park on the other side of town. My face was stained with tears that just didn't stop. My eyes burned, my lungs heaved, begging for breath. I stopped and threw up, over and over until I was empty, but even then I kept heaving. My whole life was just gone. I couldn't go back home. I knew school would be even worse. Who knew how many had been replaced? There's a youth hostel just outside of town. They took me in for a bit. I can only imagine what I looked like when I showed up. Makeup running with tear tracks, vomit still drying on my chin and neck, my hair caked in sweat. They went through an intake type thing, but I just kind of coasted through it. I didn't really pay attention, I was there for a few weeks. They set me up in a small room to myself. They were pretty empty. They gave me a charger for my phone, gave me some contacts for mental health, abuse counselors, AA and NA meetings, a priest. I seriously debated calling that last one.
A priest? You don't really strike me as, religious.
I'm not. But after everything, how could this be anything other than evil, the devil, or whatever religion tells you it is? I mean, what if none of this was really real and I was just possessed or something?
Okay, weirdly I can follow you on that one.
I never did call them, but every day I stared at their card. The counselors and staff helped me get a job, nothing special, just a cashier, and they brought me to it every day. They were nice there. They didn't deserve.
They got to them.
Yeah. A few weeks ago, I didn't even see it happen. I was sleeping in a little. I'd had a late shift the night before. Usually there's a morning call to get everyone up, but like I said, they were nice there. They knew I'd worked late and usually let me sleep in an extra hour or so. When the wake-up call finally came, it was noon. I knew something was up then. I'd learned, finally, not to ignore that shiver. And sure enough, there it was. I packed my stuff, as little as I had, and left immediately. They all said goodbye, as if it was normal. And every single one I could see. I knew not to look, but I saw them anyways. Tall and painfully thin, no legs, just writhing and squirming tentacles.
Why didn't you call me then?
I thought about it, especially that day. I used your show like an anchor almost. I wasn't crazy, there were others, and honestly, it was nice. Nice to know there were others out there, that the whole world wasn't those things, those masks. But, well, I'd done a lot of thinking. You weren't any better off than me, not really. You're trapped here, making your show every week. So I ran, traveled the road all night on foot. Then all day. I'd had some food and water already packed. I'd known I'd have to leave eventually. I slept very little those days. I walked and walked and walked. Several cars tried to help, but getting in them somehow seemed an even crazier idea than just walking. I ended up in another town, not even sure where. Another hostel. I only spent a week there. I didn't know how long till they caught up to me. Got some under the table day jobs, got some cash, and rented a motel room. You know, the kind you see and you just know hookers and drugs are abound in there. Stayed there pretty much until you called. I'd missed the last few shows, just working or sleeping.
And then what? You just bust here?
Train, actually, but yeah, pretty much.
That's... Damn, Skye, I'm, sorry.
Not like I expected you to do anything about it.
I know, but still. I do have security alarms here, and while I consider myself lucky to have a semi-secluded house up here, we are close enough to my neighbors that if something or someone were to come by, they'd probably see they're pretty nosy.
Right. Better than nothing, I guess. Look, while I'm here, I need to do something. Working? I mean, I might look into a job, but I don't know if I should really be in public. So I'm gonna look up more sagas, see if I can learn anything that'll help us.
Okay, and don't really worry about work right now. I don't really have a lot of bills. The house is owned by one of my foster brothers. He has like 6 properties. He and I bonded a bit when, he wanted to look after me when he started getting promotions. The bills come out of a trust fund my parents set up when I was a kid, and the amount there it's pretty substantial. I mostly live off the interest of it. You're free to look through the dark files if you really want. It's how I've been learning.
Dark files?
Yeah, it's what I call the records I've gotten. There's a lot that I still haven't fully read there, plus all the submissions that come in from the show.
Dark files. From Sagas of the Dark. Fucking edgy dork.
Great, this is my life now. No use dwelling on the negatives, I guess. Tell me, dear listeners, did Skye's saga convince you? Or are you sure that I've hired an actress? Thank you for listening, and until the next, let's cross that veil together. This episode was written and edited by Chloe Dagan and starred Jessica Boucher as Skye Burton and Chloe Dagan as Jessi. Thanks for listening.